when I ask coaches and professionals, like, how did you get your pricing? Most of them just say, I just picked a number. That's not how you make pricing. A good business person factors in costs of being able to acquire new team members, to be able to grow and scale, to throw a marketing budget behind something. You should know exactly what you're going to be making profit wise before launching. Question for you. Have you ever asked yourself, am I actually losing income by delivering to my clients? Because here's the truth. Most health coaches and practitioners, they are. They're showing up. They're serving these clients hard. They're doing incredible work. They're back to back on sessions. But because of the way that they've designed their offers and their services, they've accidentally built a business that pays everyone but them. And what I'm talking about, the payment, it's profit. So, what I'd love to do with today's episode is to change that by showing you areas in which you could be losing profit on the back end of the way you've designed your programs. Now, to go into this, I was talking to one of my clients recently who runs a hypnotherapy and a coaching practice. She came to me wanting to create some new online programs. Basically, she was saying to herself, hey, my studio's getting full, my team's getting full. I'd love to be able to bring something online, have a couple of ideas I'd love to pitch. So we went to take a look at creating something scalable and basically something that could reach more people. Now, whenever I help a practitioner, especially in building new offers, I always start by looking at what already exists. So first I look at the pricing, like what are their existing offers at? What are kind of the payment terms? What's the structure and the way that they're running their pricing? Cool. And then I look at the delivery. How are they actually delivering their current service? In person, one on one, group, hybrid, self paced program. And then finally, I will look at the time. What is the time that they have available to create a new offer, to run a new offer, and how much time are their existing services taking? Like, are they back to back on sessions? Do they have 6 hours a week to run this thing? And the reason why I look at these things is because a new program only makes sense if it fits into the existing model. There's no point in bringing on a new program that isn't priced right, so it's hard to sell, takes way too much time to deliver, and detracts away from your existing services, or is placed in a weird way where you'll get a lot of interest up front, but then the program dies, and now you just have an empty service. The entire purpose of bringing on a new service or a new program into your business is for it to be something that is supplement or in addition to or adds on or provides a greater value to your existing client base. So we're not always creating new services for the purpose of drawing new people in. It's create a new service that existing clients want, they fill it, and then new people will also go in and fill that service. Because when we do one thing great, we can make it greater with new people. So as I was taking a look at our offers, I noticed right away the same pattern that I see all the time with most practitioners. What practitioners will do is they'll create new programs that don't actually fit what they're already doing. Now, let me explain why they kind of do this. They'll create a program, and then the first thing that they'll do is they'll price them way too low, or they'll make them such a massive financial jump that they're impossible to sell. So maybe they're looking and they're saying to themselves, oh, I'm tired of only charging $80 to $90 a session. So I'm going to create this super high ticket offer and I'm going to charge 7K. And the gap is so large, it doesn't really make sense with their structure. And so a lot of clients have a hard time digesting the offer, or they are used to charging high ticket. Maybe they're not getting as many leads as they want. So they say, hey, look, I'm going to price something at like $115 for 8 weeks. Where now you devalue the original service so much that someone goes, well, I don't actually want to work with you in this area because it's too cheap. Now, the second way that they kind of screw this up is they'll build something totally outside of their current expertise. So let's say you're a nutritionist and all of a sudden you're like, well, I feel like I talk a lot about mindset with some of my clients that I'm working with. So all of a sudden I'm going to create a mindset program. Now, at this point, they have no context as to whether or not you're a good mindset coach. They really have no evidence that this new program is proven. It's outside of the wheelhouse of the things that you've been marketing. So now all of a sudden, this program, which could very well be a fantastic program, takes a ton of work to fill. And by the time you put a bunch of marketing dollars towards it, barely any profit comes back. This is exactly where income starts to leak. Any program that you add, whether it's in person, group, self paced, or a hybrid program, any program in any type, it should serve your client's next step and enhance their journey with you. It's not about creating random programs. We're not here to add or input new services just for the sake of selling something. I hope it sells. This is just going to be something that I'm going to put in there, or I think I can get additional money for this. No, it's about designing a service or designing an offer that makes sense for your clients and your business. So, this is going to be an offer that people actually want to buy, and also something that makes you profit when they do. Most of the time, when practitioners are looking to add on additional services, they don't really understand where profit comes from and how to create a service that actually gives them profit through the process. They're saying to themselves, I know my client needs this. There's a gap in care. I'm going to just create some type of a random price point, and then I'm going to put it out there, and then it's going to serve them, and I'm going to make money. But there is a reality check. And the first reality check that you really have to look at where like money could be lost is the time audit. When I'm looking at time, this is where most coaches lose money without even realizing it. When you look towards your hour or single session, you're not just giving an hour or you're not just giving a single session. You're spending time on client notes. You're spending additional time messaging clients. You're spending additional time chatting with your team about that client. Then you have to go and adjust that client's plan. You have to spend time on the onboarding. You spend time following up with them. You're answering additional questions. When you add it all up, that 1 hour session or that individual session, it could actually easily turn into a 2 or 3 hours of your week. So as an example, like if you're like what my client who's like charging $150 per session, but you're spending a total of 2.5 hours serving that client, you're not making 150 an hour. You're making 60 an hour because it took you 2.5 hours to deliver that single hour. And if you're not accounting for the extra time in your pricing, if you're not adjusting and creating the offer to reflect all of the time that you're going to be taking with them, what's happening is you're slowly eating away at your profit margin. Most practitioners do not have profit margin awareness. They're not sure what good profit is. They're not sure where the margin comes from. They don't even know how to calculate it. So what happens is you end up creating these random offers, and then you're not sure if it makes you money. Some things you promote do, some services bring in real bank, and then others are just completely break even. What I will say is this: every offer you run should have a built in profit margin, period. You should be able to make money on every single service that you run. That means factoring in your time, because how much time you're spending, not just as the coach, but as the manager, is very valuable. You also have to factor in your team's time, your admin that you have to hire, the assistant coach or the other practitioner that you have on the team to actually fulfill whatever the client delivery you have, whether it's an adjustment or create a client plan, your team's marketing time or the ad spend that you have to put in. That's very important. You have to factor in the software and the tech costs because guess what? Your clients have to go to a place or log in somewhere. And like I said again, the marketing spend. You have to make sure that you're recouping your ad dollars. And even something if you have an in-person facility, even the square footage of your space if you're in person. Like as an example, when I had the studio, I had a 110 person cap. I knew exactly what my square footage space was at 1,600 square feet, and I knew how much each and every hour I was making to make back my monthly square footage cost. You have to factor that in. You should know exactly what you'll make before launching anything new. And here's the thing that I find it's like a trend lately. People will create an offer, and I don't know if this is something that you guys have seen online or what the hell kind of gurus you're following, but you'll create price points just off the top of your head, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to create it by energetic numbers. I'm going to make my price point 111 or 333 or 666 or whatever. And you're making these numbers. And oftentimes when I ask coaches and professionals, like, how did you get your pricing? Most of them just say, I just picked a number. That's not how you make pricing. You should be knowing what you should be making every single hour, because a good business person factors in costs of being able to acquire new team members, to be able to grow and scale, to throw a marketing budget behind something. You don't just randomly create a price from the ether. And yes, I understand that there are people who pick those numbers based on energy, and they're like, hey, energetically, this is a number that speaks to me. But the majority of you just worked with a mentor who had pricing like that. And so you're just following their pricing. That's not a good way to be able to do business. You should know exactly what you're going to be making profit wise before launching. So, just as an example, I want to share a little bit when I had the facility. When I ran my facility in Oakville, we were capped at 110 clients per week. That was it. I couldn't take on any more, because if I took on any more, the quality of care started to drop in person. So I asked myself, well, what if I could create a program that helped more people in less time? That's when I went and I built the 8-week online program for $997. I've talked about it before, but it was the hormone reboot program. Through that process, I tracked everything. The first time I ran the program, I tracked onboarding, the amount of time I spent, the calls, the client setup, the software I needed, the ads, and in calculating all of that, after paying myself, my team, and paying for Facebook ads, I made about $320 profit per client. So $997 for an 8-week program, $320 I was putting in my pocket. Now, because it was a group program and I had group coaching calls, whether I had one client or I had 10 clients on that call, my cost was the same. So the more people I got inside that group call, the more money I started to make. So once I passed 10 clients, that profit climbed to around 400 per client, because the group calls and systems didn't cost me more time. I also started to make more profit because I ended up templating a lot of the forms that I used. And then I started doing group onboarding sessions as well to shave the time off of my onboarding. So for me, I went like, hey, it takes 2.5 hours to onboard a client, to now I'm sharing the onboarding with everyone. And now I'm just spending time creating their program and doing the assessments and the sales. So for me, going through that process, recognizing that I could continue to capitalize on my profit, go from 320 to 400, working with more people, that's when it clicked. It clicked for me that it's not about having more clients. I didn't need more clients to make more profit. It was about having strategic offers that created more value, which provided me more profit without more work. So, what I mean by that is, as we go through this process, sometimes we have to look at our existing services and we have to say to ourselves, are my services maximized in a way where I'm actually going to be able to get profit from? And I'm maximizing the amount of time that I have, and I can add something in without more work. Otherwise, if I'm just adding in more services, that's going to put me in a space where I'm working 60, 70 hours a week again. It is not worth it. It's not worth it to add in a new service. If anything, what will happen, which is what happens with most professionals and health coaches, is you add in another offer, you start promoting that offer, or you start promoting that service, you end up stopping promoting your regular services. The leads for them go down, people will fill in your other offer. So now you've got people in your new offer, but now people aren't taking you up on your old service or your old program. That's going to make you the same money. It's actually not going to get you anywhere. You have to continuously sell the other offers, and you have to have them fill. So just, kind of put that as a bullet point. Going back to the client, the hypnotherapist, when I was looking at her business, and I was looking at her existing services before going into creating her new programs, I found she was doing a couple of things which to me was like, oh, we need to work on these things first. The first thing that I found she was doing, which she was still charging per session. Charging per session, there are some industries in health coaching where you have to do that. Like if you're taking benefits for physiotherapy or for chiropractor, yes, you have to charge per session. That's fine. But there are a lot of you inside the health coaching space that do not need to be charging per session. Charging per session is one of the oldest ways of doing business. It makes it easy for people to compare your session to session pricing, and it makes it hard for people to resell through the process. You're selling them in 13 sessions or 15 sessions, which is really just 13 or 15 hours, not enough for someone to see a result. Charging per session also means that like you have to factor in a lot of other things outside of like facility time, hour to hour cost. And it's not a true reflection of your time. Because like I said before, you could charge an hour for that session, but if it takes you 2.5 hours to prepare or to work with the client in order for that session to happen, you're actually being underpaid because you're costing you like it's costing you 2.5 hours when you're just paying yourself the hour. So charging per session was a thing that she was still doing, which I was like, okay, we could probably look to start charging monthly, or we could start putting this into like a 3, 6 month or 12 month. The next thing was she was making up her hourly rate. When I asked her, hey, where did you get this number? This number of $110 a session. She was like, I don't know. I just made it up. And I'm like, what do you mean you just made it up? And it's crazy how many practitioners, if you ask them, where does this hourly rate come from? They actually don't know. They say, hey, this is what I think an hour of my time is worth. And they put a random number up to it. That again is another problem because I can't tell you how many times I've looked at someone's hourly rate and it's way too cheap for their time. And when you break down all of their facility expenses, you break down the expenses of their team, their admin, their rent, all of that, they're actually undercharging. But just because they picked a random number that they liked, they're okay with it. You can't be making up an hourly rate. So that was another thing that she was doing. Another thing that I found in taking a look at all of her offers is that she was paying her team from the same session fee. So what I mean by that is like she would run the session, she would take on the session, she would deliver to the client, but then she's like, oh, but I'm also paying my team from the same hourly session. And she didn't factor in any team costs. And I'm like, well, no, even though you're the one delivering the session, if they're involved, if they're doing the client notes, if they're doing the email follow up, if they're still working with the client afterwards, you also have to factor that in. Because once we did the math on her two main services, because I wasn't going to calculate them all, she was actually losing about 10% on some of the clients, the clients in which she thought were actually clients that she was making money. That sucked. It sucked for her to hear, but it also sucked because it's like, okay, well, think about all of the money that you could have been making if you had done a little bit of legwork to do the pricing properly. Another thing which I found too was that she was going over on her session times. I can't tell you the amount of money that you're going to be losing by going over on people's things. Actually, the time aspect is really big. There's a couple areas which you could be losing a lot of money inside of your business. Going over on times, taking longer on client notes, or even jumping in to help other coaches or help other teammates. That is, like I said, paying yourself or your team out of the same hour. You can't be doing that. And if you say to yourself, well, I'm just doing this because I'm over delivering, you're not over delivering, you're undercharging. If you are constantly going over on client time, it means that your sessions aren't long enough, or it means that your process isn't clear enough for you to be able to finish in the time that you said that they had. So this is where, if you take a look, especially with like a lot of nutritionists, naturopaths, dietitians, you guys will bill like 45 minutes, but then you're taking an hour with a client. That 15 minutes over 4 clients or 5 clients adds up to a lot of hours that end up being lost. And if you multiply that with the amount of times you go over on a client, you're probably losing about 6 to 10 hours a week of billable time. That adds up very quickly, especially if you are a small team, like a 1 to 3 practitioner team. It adds up. It adds up. This is thousands of dollars on your bottom line that you could be making if you had priced it properly to account for that time. That's a big no. Okay. So when I took a look at all of those things that was going on inside of her existing offers, if I were to ask you right now, like, is a new offer going to fix all of that? The answer is no. Her adding in a new online offer wasn't going to fix it. She had to repair all of this stuff first because new offers don't make more money. Strategic offers do. If you have an offer that is priced wrong and you're giving your time away for free and you're having a hard time filling it and you're taking leads from existing offers to try and fill this new offer, it's not going to make you money. And this is where you can get in this cycle where you're trying new services, you're trying new offers, you're adding in new things to your clients, but your monthly revenue is staying the same. It's staying the same because your old model or the offers that you have are not quite capable of servicing new things. So it's about having strategic offers. A strategic offer is one that has pricing, profit, it has purpose, it's providing value to a client. That's what's going to make you long. So through this process, I want to give you the example of what I would call the rebuild. This is where we started to help her get back on track and to get her into a space where she could take on this new online offer. Because she still wanted to do it, which guess what? She deserves to be able to do an online offer. So, where we started with her is we reworked her premium offer. This is the one where clients get the highest level of service and transformation. We started there because the highest level service really dictates the pinpoint for all of the other services that you're doing. Now, when we took a look at that, if you're looking at the highest level of service, most of the time when you guys create your original offers, you start with something small. What is the bare bones that I can provide to someone? You try to stack as much value as you can inside of that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, as I keep going into higher and higher price points, there's really nothing else that I can add to this client as a differentiator of cost. And this means that you've given everything away up front and that there's really nothing above for people to charge at a premium. So I start at the premium first, and then I start either stripping away things to justify a smaller price point, or I start making adjustments to maybe how often someone sees you, so then a smaller price point is warranted. Once we fix that premium offer, this is where then we went and we switched from session based pricing to a monthly investment. Monthly is so much better for recurring revenue, which is what stabilizes businesses and allows you to buy teams and pay for marketing. Monthly is great for clients because it's predictable. They're not like, oh, I'm going to go to my chiropractor and I don't know if I'm going to need 7 sessions this month or 3 sessions this month. They're like, hey, I'm going to go. I know it's 385 a month. I know it's 660 a month. And I know that I get this many sessions. I can predict when I'm going in. I can predict my care and I understand what my outcomes are going to be. When you also switch to monthly, you can also then start to price the packages or price the length of the program for the length of their transformation. So this is really great for health coaches where it's like, hey, it's actually going to take you 6 months towards your goal. So we're going to have you at a 6 month commitment of 800 a month or 660 a month or 1500 a month. So you understand it's the entire length of the journey. You understand how long you're actually committed to. You have a stationary price point that you're not going to worry about, am I going to need more sessions or less sessions? And you're not going to feel obligated to use the sessions. It's great for you, recurring revenue, great for them, the consistency and the transformation. So in switching that monthly investment, that gives her predictable income, gives her simplified billing for clients, and it lets her spread her business expenses evenly across her programs. Okay. Then at that point, this is where we started to look at the lower level offers. So for every lower level offer, we started removing her direct time and bringing more of her team in. Where can her team fit in? Where can she take back her time so that way she can position herself as the authority, not just another coach in the mix? You can't justify charging more for yourself if you're giving just as much time away as you are with your team. So by taking back more of her time and positioning more of her other offers with her team, That freed up her time to do things like finally focus on marketing, being able to do leadership with her team, and finally focusing on business growth, which is like, what's the next promotion going out? Where do we have to put our focus on? This is going to be the things that move the business forward. At that point, that's where we then filled in the missing gaps in our offer ladder. This is where we looked and said, okay, where can we put in online offers to supplement these new changes we made? So the first is we were like, hey, we could put in a group program that bridged your one-on-one and your corporate work. And then we could put a couple of self-paced courses for maybe some clients who aren't ready for a higher level investment. And then that way, what we can do is we can upsell into corporate speaking, which was her next goal. And we can make sure that she still had her group that was being serviced while her one-on-one was being serviced by her team. So now, when you look at the offer cycle, everything in her business had a purpose. It had a clear profit margin and it had a delivery plan that actually protected her time. So now, through this process, as you're listening to this episode, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, all of this is great, but it seems to be hinging on like a healthy profit margin. What is a healthy profit margin? How can I create a space where I can pay the team, pay everyone, make sure that my marketing is covered? Like, what is it for practitioners? It's kind of different depending on where you are inside of your business. So, I want to give a couple of ranges here that you should be expecting that are very realistic. And they are averages because a lot will factor in your team size, the offers that you're putting in, but these are some of the ones that you should be aiming for. So, to start, we're going to start with solo, like one-on-one practitioners. If you're still heavy into the one-on-one services where you are trading time for money, you can expect 25 to 30% being a profit margin for your time. This is enough for you to cover your marketing budget. This is enough for you to cover facility or overhead expenses. By the time you cover all of that stuff, that 25 to 30% profit margin is enough for you to be able to grow and scale and start considering things like teams, ads, or like living your life and declaring a bonus. If you're someone who is running hybrid or small group, because you are getting multiple people in 1 hour and you're maximizing the amount of call times or session times you're doing, 35 to 45% should be where you are at. If you are not making a minimum of 35% in small group training or small group programs, you're doing it wrong. You're either giving away too much of your time or you're leaking a lot of your time away, or maybe you're paying your team too much. Okay. Now let's say you're solely online. You're not doing solo anymore. You're group only. You have self-paced programs. This is where like a 50 to 70% profit margin is going to be huge. Now you're like, well, 50 to 70%, that's pretty unrealistic. Let me tell you something. I have a 70% profit margin inside of my business. And here's the way that it operates. Someone can buy a self-paced program that has 0% of my time. I run it live the first time. And then when they buy it on my website, or you're picking up a program like Client Converting Content or No BS Sales or Effortless Systems, after I've run it live, it doesn't cost me any more money to run. What's the benefit of a self-paced program? So when we had self-paced programs, like we had our hormone reset, we had our gut imbalance. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. When we had these self-paced programs, these are programs that people could join without me at any time, and they were selling regularly. So if I had 10 signups, even if they were 450 each, that's 4,500 bucks. That's 4,500 bucks that I was getting that really I had to pay software, I had to give access, and I maybe had to do an onboarding call, which was 20 minutes per person. That that's easy 50 to 70%. Think of this as multi-code. Or if you've got groups where, like our hormone reboot program had 200 applicants, we had 80 people on calls on average. When you have 80 people on one call, like, yeah, you are making a lot of money. You're making a lot of money because you're spending 1 hour on a call and you're servicing 80 people. And maybe you have an assistant coach that's answering questions and you're paying them a total of like 3 or 4 hours a week. to answer these questions that are 10, 15 minutes at a time. That's scalable. Very rarely is that something that I see inside of practitioners because either they're very heavy with one on one or they still have a lot of in person that's in there. Now, let's say you're like a multi coach or an agency model. You have a practice, whether it's in person or it's online. You've got multiple people working under you, and you're paying them to run the sessions, or you're paying them to like be in location and do the stuff. You can expect around a 30 to 35% profit for that. And that is good. It's good, it's healthy, especially if you're delivering personally. 30% should be the minimum that you're aiming inside of your business. You can, if you systemize and you scale, you can push for that 35 to 40%. It's very easy for you to be able to do that. So, numbers wise, that means if your business is bringing in like 3K a month, you should be keeping 9K to 15K in true profit after expenses, not before. If you are going at the end of the month and you're left with like 800 bucks, your business model is wrong. And by wrong, I will use the word wrong safely because wrong is in a couple areas. You're not priced right. You're giving your time away for free. The model is not conducive. So you have too many one on one sessions in a space that's too small. You're not maximizing your square footage or you're not maximizing your time. All of that indicates that your model is wrong. The way that you're operating is not in the way that you should be. And all of this is going to prevent you from growing your business. It's going to prevent you from being able to scale a team. And this is where a lot of practitioners, they get caught in the 1 to 3 practitioner space for a very long time because they either get facility capped or they get schedule capped and then they can't grow from there. So look towards those things. Look towards making the changes so you start having that 30% profit margin. And through this process, I want you to understand like if you're looking at your numbers and you're saying, I've just run a quick calculation and I'm not making that profit. I may be making 10% per percent. Or maybe you're not comfortable making that and you're like, well, that's going to put my price at a number that I don't really think is fair for my clients. Listen, I get it. I get it. We care as health professionals. We care so much about helping others that sometimes we forget to help our own business thrive. Sometimes we say to ourselves, oh, it's okay if I'm not making as much money because I want to help more people. But I will tell you this, your business can't serve people if it's not built to sustain you. Profit isn't greed. It's not. Making money is not bad in the health industry. We're not talking about you being big pharma. We're talking about you being able to build a team, hire admins, work ads, bring on better softwares to create better programs to serve more people. So profit isn't greed, it's oxygen. It gives you freedom for you to build your business the way that you want. It gives you choice, your ability to be able to hire the teammates that you actually want to bring on. And it gives you the energy to keep helping more people without burning out. Burnout is the number one reason why practitioners start winding their business down because they're giving more time than they're getting money back. And they're like, I can't sustain this. So going through this process, doesn't matter what your number is right now, that number can increase. Okay. And before we kind of wrap up this episode, I want to share with you a few common margin killers that you can watch out for, because these are the places where I'm seeing that a lot of people will actually tend to lose money kind of on their back end. The first is over delivering without charging more. If you over deliver to one client, the expectation is that you have to over deliver to all of your clients. So if you are not prepared to give everyone an extra 20 minutes, don't give 20 minutes to one person because over delivering without charging more means that you are leaking hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours at the end of the month. I can promise you, at the end of the month, at the end of the year. Okay. Over delivering is something that we think in the moment is going to be the thing that maybe our clients are asking for, but really what they want is for you to be able to like be prompt, be clear, be concise, help them with the time that they do have, and set boundaries for yourself. Next place is too many low ticket or unprofitable one-on-one offers. You cannot always be running things at low ticket, or you cannot be running things like 6-week challenges, 21-day transformation programs. This BS that, certain professionals will try to sell you where it's like, hey, get them in on a free 21 day and then you can convert them on the back end and make money. You don't get excited for that. They think it's cheap. They don't take it seriously. You end up losing your shirt. And then you're like, what the hell was the point of running this? It's not about low ticket. People are past low ticket. Your best clients, the clients who want to work with you, are willing to pay the right amount of money. And the right amount of money is different for everyone. I don't believe there is such thing as high tickets. Because just like I would pay an infinite amount of money for the cure for cancer, if you provide them with a service that is so phenomenal, they're looking at it and saying to themselves, holy shit, that's a steal. It doesn't matter what the ticket of the price is, they are going to pay. So there's no such thing as high ticket. Now, next piece is paying for tools or staff that don't drive return of investment. So many practitioners will scale, but they'll scale with bloat. They'll have $1,000 softwares like MindBody that's charging them $800 a month. And then they've got Stripe fees that like take 3% of their all of their monthly payments for all of their clients. And then on top of that, they've got a large square footage and facility because they grew too quick. And a lot of their expenses are bypassing 60, 70% before they're even looking at paying themselves and paying their team. Paying for tools and paying for staff, all of the things that you add in should add into return of investment. So don't hire an assistant coach if they're not going to make you more money. Don't bring on the admin if it's not going to give you time to make more money. You have to make sure that everything you're inputting into your business actually has an ROI attached to it. Don't just waste the money and then say to yourself, well, it was something I didn't want to do, so I'm just throwing it out there. Okay. The last one is manual admin or lack of automation. If you still are doing processes manually, you haven't automated things, whether it's with AI or like your onboarding is different every time. Creating your client plans is different every time. You're still writing out manual forms. You're expecting clients to do things and then you're waiting for them to come back and you're sending manual reminders. All of this is a huge, colossal waste of time and is literally costing you probably $2,000 to $3,000 a month in just time that you can get back. Work towards automating these things. Work towards delegating them and work towards having a process that you can repeat because a repeatable process is going to be something that actually saves you money up front. So if any of those sound familiar and you're like, yeah, I have one of these in my business, or I'm doing multiple of these things in my business, then you're probably leaking thousands of dollars a month that you could be paying either yourself or your team. And I will say, this is exactly what we work on inside of C2C. We focus on helping health coaches and practitioners rebuild their business model so that way they can actually scale and make money in the process. For November, it's November when I'm filming this. I'm taking on 2 new clients for the C2C program. If you're ready to fix the leaks and you're ready to scale smart, you want to make money, you want to make sure that your business has profit through the process, then DM me C2C program on Instagram or book a discovery call at growmycoaching.com. If you join before November 30th, you're also going to get access to client converting content, which teaches you how to create content that actually attracts high ticket and high quality clients. You're going to get access to the fast launch program, which shows you how to launch new offers like this online offer that my client just launched in 40 days with the offer completely filled. So that way, the next time you're putting in new services, you don't have to worry about, hey, where am I going to get the leads from? And then you're also going to get access to No BS Sales, which teaches you a service-based selling way to be able to promote things, to be able to promote new monthly offers or even monthly payment plans in a way that is ethical and that feels good. So you're not trying to sell. Instead, you just go up and you come from a place of serving. You get all access to all 3 of these programs when you join the C2C program, but only until November 30th. So you've got another 2 weeks from recording this to join the C2C program. And as we end off today's episode, I want you to ask yourself something this week. I want you to ask yourself, is your business model helping you earn more by delivering, or are you losing income while serving? Because if your profit margin isn't growing as your business grows, it's not a marketing problem or another offer problem. It's a model problem. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And make sure as well that you hit subscribe, turn on the notifications, and drop a comment below telling me where you think your profit leaks might be hiding. See you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.